Okay, this is my 2016, 2017. So December 16 to January 17. Another Simple Stories album. Love, love, love their albums. This one is not as thick as some of the other ones you'll see in the videos. This is their standard size album. They don't make the burlap anymore. They did it in 3 different colors. I had the red one. There's a teal one. This is the black. Black isn't usually a Christmassy color. However, black is really good as a neutral for most things. Kind of grounds it. I don't know. I loved the album, so I just went with the black. Title page. You'll see lots of title pages. This one, again, I used a Christmas card. So this one came from my mother-in-law. It had kind of crusty glitter on it. I love the snowman. I loved the door. The paper in behind isn't actually paper. This is a white sheet of cardstock, and I put strips of washi because the washi, A, the snowflakes matched, but B, the red matched the card. It had Happy Holidays. I added a thin chipboard snowflake that is from Hobby Lobby, and then I had this acrylic piece from Ellie Studio. I absolutely love Ellie Studio. They have great products, great pricing. If you want to hear more about Ellie Studio, come talk to me. Love it, love it, love it. But here it's a 1-piece acrylic. I colored the December with a red Sharpie and colored the the 2016 with silver, so that it kind of matched, but also stood out a little bit against that white snowflake. This is the year where I didn't go as literal. So everything that happened on December 1st, I do not have in here. I kind of picked key stories from the day. You'll also see wooden elements. I used quite a few here. And a lot more layering this year. You know, your scrapbooking style changes, and so a little more layering, trying out some different things with it. I think also I was more into Ellie Studio products, so you're going to see a lot of stuff from them here. Okay, so this sheet of paper is actually a 6x6 sheet of paper. I wanted it to cover the entire background, so I sliced it in the middle. There's a chunk here and there's a chunk there. And I know this because I can feel, like, there's where this piece starts, and then this piece starts about right here. I do that all the time. You're not going to see it anyway, right? So, you know, make things work the way you need it. This is a card that they had that had the year. I did not put a full calendar in. Other years, I do have a big calendar. They now create a 6x8 printed calendar of that December that you can buy for, like, I don't know, $1, $2. I forgot how much it is now. And you can write things out, so it's a full calendar. But here they just did a 3x4 card. I added it in. I also have a stamp that does these journaling circles. I use them all the time in my layouts. And so I literally stamp and punch like 100 of them at a time. In my drawer, I can reach in, like, here's a whole bunch, and I just grab them. I can grab and go. And if I only need part of one, I will use part of one. Like, this one probably was on the corner of a piece of paper, and so there's probably not a full circle. It's probably cut off right there. If I pulled it up, it's probably not out there, because then you can tuck this in behind or lay it out beside something, and you don't need that full circle, and then you have the circle for somewhere else. That's actually pretty cute. But that's not what I did there. So, you know, keep in mind, sometimes you have stamps and things like that. I use a lot of stamps. Lots of fun. Same thing with little pieces. Like, here's a little piece of vellum. It has little foil stars. Maybe it's hard to see. It's in there. Here's a wooden chunk that said baking. Little strips. I like using the same numbers for the whole album. Usually December has one set of numbers, and then January has another set. Here I had some vellum red numbers that I got from a company. And when they went on sale after the season, I bought a ton more, and you'll see these numbers in other dailies. I still have some sets because I literally bought tons of them because I loved using them here. They're nice and thin. Can you cut those yourself? Sure can. If you have number dies, I've used number dies as well some years. It lets you do numbers in different colors, and you can use different fonts and stuff like that. I like keeping it consistent because I'm anal, and so I just like that look. But here, my mom's friend Kathy gave her a sugar cookie recipe. Love the sugar cookie recipe. As December goes along, I like looking for repeated patterns. So here, as I cut all these out, I made sure to lay the recipe sheet on top, knowing that it was okay that the recipe, was on a piece of paper, because I wanted the white, I wanted someplace to put the number. Okay, so that was strategic. As I'm looking at this, I know that it's going to go in my album. I kind of think through some of those things when I can. Other times I just take photos, right? But here, this was composed this way, and then this was composed this way because I knew I had this photo. Okay, so be thinking about some of these things when you have the time and space to think and plan. Do it. Here I made sugar cookies to look like little mini pizzas because a friend of ours worked at IDW Publishing, who was working with Kevin Eastman, who was the creator of Ninja Turtles. So super, super cool life experience in being able to meet Kevin Eastman, who is a marvelous soul. He's such a nice guy. Tom grew up loving Ninja Turtles. My brother grew up playing with Ninja Turtles. My brother was an animator on the Ninja Turtle TV show, the newer show. And here we are in San Diego, friends with someone who worked at IDW Publishing. That's how we met Kevin Eastman. They were doing a party for the Turtles board game. I said to TJ, hey, do you mind if I do, and I thought of these cookies right away. I don't know why. Do you mind if I do some cookies and bring them to the release party? So I made like hundreds of cookies and made the sugar cookies, iced them, and, with the red icing, the white icing, and then M&Ms, red and green M&Ms, to look like pieces of green pepper and pepperoni. So, which is in the story here. But really cool experience. It deserves 2-page spread. Okay. So, and not an experience that I will ever be able to do again. I mean, we don't live in San Diego. IDW Publishing does not have a store there anymore. TJ doesn't work there. When I buy turtle stuff for Tom, Kevin still remembers me, which is super cool. And so just a really cool experience. I actually made some cupcakes that look like Krang, because he's a little brain, and so I wibbled the icing to look like little brains. I don't think it's in this book because I think it was another time, but just a cool experience. And so again, this is why I love December Daily, capturing these stories forever. At any given day, if you asked me about Ninja Turtles, I wouldn't talk about these cookies because I wouldn't remember the cookies. But here, like, this was just really cool, and I feel the excitement and the love in my heart looking at this because I remember that story. But anyway, I digress. It's the cool stories in December and in life, and that's the point of December Daily. Okay. Other ones, I have a reason why page. I didn't have one here. I just jumped in. Here's December. Okay. The second, if you've heard anything else, it was my mom's birthday on the 2nd. And there's my lovely mom. And here's a post that I put on Facebook. I blew it up because I wanted to put it on there. It had been several years, but I added, some embellishments and some stickers, and I wanted to put it in here. Okay. This was the day. The first is me making the cookies. The second was the actual party. So there's TJ and there's Tom. This is actually a keychain. So it's a rubber Ninja Turtle keychain. I cut off the loop at the top. I got it, I don't know where, the dollar store, I think. I cut off the top so it's just a nice round circle. It's a non-Christmas, these are non-Christmas journaling things. These are from LA Studio, but they worked with color scheme and they worked with the space, okay? And at IDW Publishing, they took everything out of Kevin's home office and replicated his home office at the store. So cool. So, and they took pictures of everything, but all of the like things people gave him, things like prototypes. There's a Captain America shield someone gave him. Like they literally took his home office and moved it there. And there is Kevin. Okay. Super, super awesome to meet him. Tom was like a little kid at Christmas. Like this was like super, super awesome. This was a life experience. So love that I have this photo. Again, put a little journaling there. This was the second. Okay. So and also a good reminder that with everything that is, you know, sad or difficult in life, there's things that are just awesome and people that are awesome and experiences that are awesome that are life-changing. So, you know, kind of cool to have the good and the bad in there. December 3rd, so this is one of their printed cards. Again, they make great products. This was a sticker from somewhere else I just put on there because I wanted the horizontal to kind of match this. We actually found this on an online marketplace, and Tom loves R2s and collects it. This was an old Pepsi cooler. We went and got it. And then that day, I also was doing my wrapping. So LA Studio that year came out with these really cool little wooden triangles of things that you do through the season. And so wrapping was that day. Added it with some more stickers. If you watch the other videos, I always do something with my wrapping paper. Here I use this card because it matched my wrapping. This is the wrapping paper I got at Hobby Lobby on 80% off. You will see this wrapping paper a lot because these rolls were huge. And I still have some of these rolls like 10 years later. I don't wrap as many gifts anymore. We're not around people as much. All our friends and family are far away. So gift cards tends to be the thing now. But I still wrap things, like the dog's toys and gifts get wrapped. Every single one of them gets wrapped. And it's exciting, you know, opening gifts with him and stuff. But I love having the wrapping paper, just simply because then that was what was that year, right? And sometimes I use the wrapping paper like I have, you know, 10, 20 different rolls, but I use certain ones for certain years for certain reasons. So sometimes I put that in there too. And then here's all the journaling for the day, because that was also the day of Tom's work holiday party. Okay, so surprising, but then I put a sticker over top. So little story there. Not a great photo, terrible lighting in that place, but it is what it is, right? Here's the 4th. This was actually a sticker that is supposed to be on the back of your envelope when you send your cards. I used it here. Okay. Again, I'm not worrying about things being totally acid free. These books aren't going to be passed on to anybody. That's a personal choice. You don't have to go with it, but that's my life. Here, this was a 4x6 card. I put a 3x4 photo. Sometimes I trim them down a little more. I usually do leave a little space on the side so that you still have your eye pulled in and in that piece. But that was the Fierce Family Christmas. So those, I didn't get many photos that year, just the 2. So it is what it is. Okay, so good with the bad. So in November, I had some issues with my leg, and I was like, okay, well, whatever. But then I got this really bad purpley rash. And you know, it's busy. It's a busy time of year. I'm like, it seemed to be going away. It wasn't a big deal until the day that it was super puffy. Like, look how puffy my leg is. And I had an open sore and it was excruciating pain. And so I'm like, well, you know, it looks like I have an infection. Drop me off. I'll get some meds. Pick me up in a couple hours. Not what happened. Turns out I had cellulitis from a a brown recluse spider, which I did not know, and massive infection in my leg. Admitted to the hospital. They needed to, they cut out a chunk of my leg. But because of this was a Sunday, I was in the hospital for a week waiting for surgery. Things kept coming up. There were accidents, and it was a really rough time. And so, not a good time for this to happen. Not a good time for just in general, and pain in life and whatever. But made the December daily because that's what happened in December. So here is my wrist thing from the hospital. I took a picture because I knew it was December daily. I'm like, haha, December, I'm in the hospital. I'm going to get some antibiotics and I'm going to go home. There's my grotesque leg with the bright purple rash. Interesting thing, if you ever have cellulitis, it comes back multiple times with any little scrape or cut that you can get on the extremity that it was. So if you get it on your legs, it doesn't move beyond your limbs. So if you get it on one leg, you can get it on the other leg because joy of all joys, I've had cellulitis multiple times because of cuts that I've gotten on my feet or on my legs, and I did not know that. So that is good fun. It won't move to other parts of my body though. Like if you get it in your lower leg, it stays in your lower leg, but either leg. Good fun. Yeah. So it's the 6th. I'm still in the hospital. They have, done a bunch of stuff on my leg and drained it, and it's all wrapped up and gauzed, and there's me eating fruit, watching TV, and there's House, because this meme cracked me up. I started out in a shared room, and then they moved me because they were also panicked that I may have MRSA. I did not. It was a brown recluse, but whatever. But the meme here, don't worry, it's treatable. Being a bitch, though, nothing we could do about that. I hadn't read it first. Probably should have read it first, but that's okay. So, it is what it is, right? You gotta kind of take life as it comes, and, Mom always said that laughter is the best medicine, and so funny things. Again, not a Christmas card, life in progress. It's just an Ellie Edwards card I had. I added a little star there because I had stars here. It is what it is, right? So, 7th, guess who's still in the hospital? Guess who's trying to be funny? Silly Elf, and then I have Elf here. This was something I just printed out and fussy cut out. I was planning on being out that day. I was hoping that I would have the surgery. Something came up and the doctor couldn't do it. There's Tom visiting me. Look at me, still in the hospital. Real life. However, Pride and Prejudice is on the TV, so, that makes life a little easier. This was a configuration of one of the Simple Stories ones that used to come in all the albums. I have a bazillion of these. If you love this, let me know. I will give you some. Literally have a bazillion, and I hardly ever use them. The 2-inch by 8-inch strip there. I think it's a little bit bigger than that, but you can see legs super puffy, but I have a bandage there. Still waiting for the doctor to do surgery. 9th, I had put, this is typical, me being a sarcastic little madam there. Star Wars on TV. Released today? Nope. The surgeon finally came saying I do need surgery, because they weren't sure if I would need surgery or not because of where the infection was. Like, it was kind of just located in part of my leg, but he wanted to excise all of it because it's easier on the body to heal. It will be done today. It could have been today, but they gave me food because they didn't think I would have surgery. So now I have to wait because I ate and they won't do surgery. Now, ironically, the surgery was a 5-minute surgery. They didn't need to put me under, but they did. Yeah. Even after all these years, still irritates me. So I was in there the 5th. This is the 9th. Here's me on the 10th. You know, looking hot to trot in my nightgown and IV now. And this is a stamp. I can do hard things. Joyful though, because I'm going home tomorrow. Some friends stopped by. I had the surgery, and they stopped by and brought me this little book because they again, surround yourself with people who can make you laugh. I love Beauty and the Beast. And here was this Beauty and the Beast Christmas book, and they thought it was funny because I was in the hospital raging that I wasn't at home for the holiday season. So they brought me this little book. I'm like, you smart Alex. Here's where they wrote on me to indicate where the surgery should be, because, you know, this big wound on my leg would not have indicated to them where to cut my leg open. And then the bandage, and then I stamped stronger at the broken places over top because, you know, that's what you do. Stays on will stamp nicely on top of photos. Okay, so there's the tiny attacher again. I think I've shown this in the other videos. Nice, beautiful little staples, especially for vellum numbers and things like that. The 11th, it was release day. So Tom came to pick me up, and he bought me this beautiful rose because he knew I was absolutely brokenhearted that I was in the hospital for, you know, from Sunday till Friday, in pain, irritated. No one will give me answers. And I just wanted to be home. All this Christmas stuff that I wanted to do, that I hadn't got done in the first 4 days now had been delayed. So this was actually a big photo, and I cut it into 4 because, you know, it's 4 here, you gotta go 4 here. And sometimes you can plan for that, and sometimes you can't, but this, I thought it worked, right? In that, you know, the Christmas rose, my Christmas was kind of shattered into fragments. My leg was now in pieces. My patience was in pieces, but I was really happy to get out, and, you know, super simple page. Sometimes the photo just does it. Okay. 12th, finally sending my Christmas letters and my Christmas cards because I was in the hospital. And so I've done this several times where I just put all the envelopes and I take a picture of it. You know, people's addresses are on it. So, you know, if you're posting this online, you probably would want to blur those out. Here is just my book, so I just printed it, like, whatever. And then here is our Christmas card. So I do always save one of our Christmas cards. You'll see on the back, so this is the photo on the other side. I put some of that washi that was on that first. I like kind of using some replicating elements, the numbers, some of the tags, the washi. This was our Christmas card. We had gone to a friend's wedding in Vegas. They got married there, and so as we were taking, I'm like, let's do a nice little selfie, you know, because we went to this Mexican place afterwards for dinner. And so just as I'm snapping the photo, Tom takes a big bite of chips and salsa. And at the time, I'm like, well, won't that be an attractive photo? He's like, it's the Christmas card photo. Because every fall we take photos, and I'm like, we need a Christmas card photo. What are we going to do with my Christmas cards this year? And I'm like, do I have a theme? Do I want to do this? Do I want to do that? And so he joked, and I'm like, okay, we're doing it. Like, I'm just doing it, right? Simple card. I looked everywhere for a stamp set that said eat, drink, and be merry. Finally found one. And so eat, drink, and be, and then merry, of course, was a separate word, so I could do it in multiple colors, put the bling. And then when I put the card in, I always leave it as it is because there's the journaling about the photo. Okay, the story I just told you. So it's in here, but it's tucked. Okay, so hidden journaling is fun because sometimes it's like, does that whole story really matter? No, but it's funny, right? And so I told it to you. It's there. You can kind of keep that. Okay, non-Christmas card here. I liked the yellow because of the yellow stars. Went with it. Okay, so this is to decorating, and decorating at work. So here's my cubicle. Like if you saw other videos, I had a few lights. Now I've got garland. I've got a little Christmas tree. I've got a Santa Claus, which then you know, influenced other people to decorate. And then you'll see in other albums where we decorate the whole area, and years where I got my coworkers to dress up. Like it's a whole thing, right? So there's my desk. Love, 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 love the big photos. Okay. A lot of places will print 8 by 8 or 8 by 10. You can trim them down. Costco used to do 8 by 12, and I'm so sad that they don't have that. And most other places don't have 8 by 12 because I love them for pages. But it was easy to do 2 6 by 8s and then just cut your page in half. They don't. So sad. But the page protectors are a little bit bigger. Okay, so you have to, if that bugs you, like all of them are a little bit bigger with Simple Stories. Ellie Edwards, perfect. You know, you're getting a 6 by 8 completely. So here, I didn't care at this time. There are other times where I put a piece of paper in behind because this is like 8 1/4 by 6 1/8. So, you know, keep that in mind as you're going along. Some page protectors are different. Some of the other ones, like at Hobby Lobby, they aren't even 4 by 6s. They're like 3 3/4 by 5 1/4. So you have to resize everything. Aggravating for the 8.5 by 11. So their 6 by 8 though, I think are pretty true to size. They're a little bit bigger as well, so you have room. Again, you can, if they're thicker, then you have a little room for expansion, but you also have room for moving things around. Okay, so here, this is decorating at work, decorating at home. There's our tree. We put that R2 beside it. Love this photo. Took it in the darkness. It's meant to be dark, except for the glowing tree. You know, I love Santas. I grew up with Mom. It's this plastic Santa, and I found him at this dollar store in California. Same Santa, of course. You know, he wasn't you know, printed in the 80s. He was actually made in that year, but love that it's the same Santa. So I actually have a couple of him, but they're just all piled together, and I just hang them all up together. So if one gets grungy and damaged, I just take it off and there's one underneath it. Okay. Journaling card. It's off-white, which is kind of weird, but the stickers were off-white that year, so it works. This is a sticker. This was printed on there, so just kind of went with that. Very easy. You could make your own by, you know, stamping something like that and doing a stamp. But if you buy cards, it's ready to go. Makes it simple. A few stickers here and there, a few words, done, right? It doesn't have to be complicated. This one, fun card from Ellie's Studio. Again, it wasn't a Christmas one. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, every day. I put I love plaid. Okay, so every year I paint my nails red. You've seen this photo before if you watched the other videos. I put a plaid strip here with the number. You know, some plaid wrapping paper, but my tree skirt's plaid, which is hard to see in this photo. I have plaid bedding, my plaid purse, and then plaid tablecloths. Love me plaid at Christmas. I love plaid all the time. All the time. It's the Scottish in me. Love a good tartan. But at Christmas time especially, like buffalo plaid, you know, the Royal Stuart plaid, any plaid. Okay, just love it. So you will see this theme. It's a good filler page, right? So this was the day I probably painted my nails red, and just probably just noticed plaid and went with the plaid day. Okay, but there's also good filler pages like this, or your tree, for days where maybe nothing really happened that day, or maybe you forgot to take photos, and you need something to fill in. Lists, things like around here, they're all good for days like that. Okay. 16th, we had a flood. So yeah, I had this, actually the backside of that paper was a black and white speckle. I had this tree that had black. I went with it. We had a flood. The washer and dryer, our wall with our bedroom and the kitchen was shared with the laundry room. Super convenient to be able to walk out of our apartment into the laundry room. However, this was the flood. And, I woke up, went to turn on the Christmas tree in the morning and get ready for work, and my sock was wet. Um, Want to hear about floods? That apartment was fun. I think we had like 6 different floods for various reasons, various things. Um, Good times. Not. So here's our anniversary. Woke up to a flood. So I guess this was the time that the dude upstairs had a plastic bag. So he had the balcony above the laundry room, and he had just thrown his garbage on the patio, and it had rained, and bags and garbage had gone into the downspout and clogged it. So then all the water went in the wall and into ours. So that's what the story says. So, fun, like everything, like all of our furniture was wet. Luckily, I hadn't put the Christmas presents under the tree, and the tree was partially on the linoleum, partially on the carpet. Otherwise, they would have all been damaged, but all of our furniture was totally soaked and damaged, so we had to take everything apart. It was just such a mess. We ended up both taking the day off and just spending the day cleaning on our anniversary. So we had the maintenance guys come in. We actually just pulled a bunch of stuff and had a picnic on the bed. And yeah, it ended up being a nice day. And then, it is what it is. It is what it is. Good and the bad. So this is the 17th. This looks like it was my holiday office party. We're a little dolled up there. Here's a little card that I think they gave out that had little foiling on it, so I kept it. I cut off the second piece because I think it had a menu. I think it was on the table at the time at the holiday party. So I kept the front piece. Again, real life ephemera. And then I had done some... I did some journaling on the back. Okay, so here's an acrylic piece from Ellie's studio. Was feeling a little bah humbug that day, probably because of the huge flood that damaged so much stuff. Having some issues. So again, here's that washi put on the acrylic piece. 17th was this, and then Rogue One came out. So did the movie poster there. Loved it. That was the only journaling. Okay, doesn't have to be complicated. 18th, our nephew is over. We obviously went and did a car wash. He was so excited. The boys were both excited. Both of our nephews. They were like, "Can we vacuum out the car?" I guess their parents don't let them do the vacuums. They're kids and they shouldn't. It's a vacuum. My parents were always like, you need to learn things sometimes. So here you are. I was taking photos and Tom was helping with hoses as they did the vacuuming. Okay. And then we played games and had fun with them. Okay. So that's the day. Love cards that have just sayings on them. Sometimes you can add stickers and stuff to them. Just left it alone. Kept it simple. This was something I found online, printed it out. I love these cards from Ellie's studio that have the different colors. Now, I would have stamped those numbers as opposed to wrote them, but I wrote them that year. Okay. And then here's your list. And then here's the photos that go with each of those. So I loved having Raph on my desk. So the Ninja Turtle, Bath and Body Works had these little hats that you can put on your lotions and stuff. I bought one because it fit the Funko Pops perfectly. This naughty or nice. Oh, that's my coworker. So the sign pointed to me as nice and him as naughty, and it cracked me up. So it's perfect sign. And then this was a basket of treats that I took my manager. So they correspond to those. Okay. Here again, I think this was the year that I made like 36. The other year I made 30 dozen. This was like 36 dozen cookies. So again, intentionally did this shot you know, is it perfect? No, but I wanted all these different types of cookies, one of each of the kinds in the shot. And then the other containers, it wasn't about all of the cookies, it was about all of the different kinds of cookies. I could use this big acrylic joy. I could put the number there. I think I used a pop dot, or not a pop dot, a glue dot, and then put a star over it so you didn't see it. Love shots like that. Okay. And then be filled with wonder and lots of holiday cookies. This basket is full of cookies. These were the cookies. Okay. This year I made a huge advent calendar set, all from Christmas papers. I made these origami boxes, cut out the big numbers, used stickers and stuff. It was a labor of love. And so I had done smaller ones, but there wasn't a lot of space, so I did bigger ones. So I could do, you know, like a little thing of hot sauce, or I could put movie tickets in it, or all that good stuff. All of the advent calendars that I had in the past, I actually gave away. People loved them. We didn't want them anymore. We wanted to kind of do something different. And so, yeah, just took a shot of the ones that were left on the 20th. There's the 20th. Okay. Because I thought that was a little bit easier than the whole pile of them. And so other things that day, just used a card that was already pre-printed. Christmas is too sparkly, said no one ever, because I did my nails in silver and then put like a sparkle over top of them. They were so shiny. It was like little, like, they don't look too bad here, but they were literally like little disco balls on my fingers. It was just insane. But it was fun. Okay. And then here's the 21st. So my brother came into town. Here's some more of those little words. Again, sometimes some days are lots of journaling, and some days just little stickers will do the trick, right? Here we are having lunch. Rosemary gave me these earrings. And then because I didn't do the journaling here, I did it here. Again, deliberately left a lot of space so I could journal about those earrings, which I still have. Put the number, and then we were at the Corvette Diner. Oh, if you ever go to San Diego, Corvette Diner. So good. So good. Has a little arcade. It's in the old barracks. Really, really good food. And fleece, which cracked me up, right? Rosemary had the best Christmas jumpers. And then here we are. So Jason had worked on Ninja Turtles. Here's TJ at IDW. Jason loved giving gifts. Like we definitely inherited that from my mom and my grandma. At Christmas time, they just loved Christmas. So he got a bunch of his teammates. He was heading up the team on the Ninja Turtles. He got a bunch of them to pull together and do a special print for TJ. And so got the special print, and then we made a special trip to see TJ and give him the print, and he just lost his mind. I knew he was doing it because I did some reconnaissance for Jason to know what TJ liked, so that he knew what to get drawn. And so anyway, it was just fun. It was a lot of fun. So wanted to make sure that I had this story during the day, you know, of picking him up and some fun stuff. And then, you know, Rosemary gave me a gift. We gave TJ a gift. It's just all about joy and love and giving of time and effort and stuff like that. And so outside, rain in San Diego. Love when it rains. So I love taking pictures of your feet in snow, and here we are in rain, and here's my shadow, but that's okay. I liked it. Yeah. And so I think we had gone, Kevin was supposed to be there, but he wasn't. And so we went the next day, because also Jason forgot to give him the Turtles Crew bunny hug / hoodie. But that's okay. Because we saw TJ again. This is a cool little page protector from Simple Stories. I don't make these anymore, and I wish they did. 4x4 and the 2x2s. Um, yeah, lots of fun. December joy. Oh, here's my coworker. So the 22. Again, I loved it in between. I didn't staple it. I didn't do anything. It's just free floating because it's vellum. It just stays where it's at because it's so thin. So I convinced all of my coworkers that were in my seating plan area. So there was 8 of us. And I convinced them all to wear elf hats. And for the one coworker who doesn't like getting his photo taken and is a self-proclaimed Scrooge Grinch at Christmas, bah humbug, to be Santa. And because we had decorated this pole that was in the middle of all of our cubicles, Jeremy and I had so much fun decorating this pole. So we lit the pole up, and the elves were here and Santa was here. Such a good time. Such a good time. Having good coworkers makes such a huge difference in life, and I work for such a great company. So, and Rob, well, we were friends beyond coworkers. But he was the only one who moved when they closed this office. He's the only one who moved to Colorado. So all of these other people I don't see anymore. So it's so nice to see their faces. And again, that's why you do these things, right? Because some of these people just, and all of their names are here. You don't see them, right? You kind of lose touch. 23rd, if you watch some of my other videos, 23rd was my grandma's birthday. Here's the post I did on Facebook for my grandma. She was such a beautiful person, had such a beautiful soul. And so her teachings and her love have stayed with me all these years. And I was very young when she passed away. But some people just leave a huge mark on your life. So I like to remember that in any way I can and be grateful for it. So here's the 23rd. Here we went to our favorite sandwich shop in San Diego, Antonelli's. If you ever go to San Diego, eat at Antonelli's. It is amazing. It is so busy at lunchtime though. It's worth it though. Okay, so went to Antonelli's, we went to my mother-in-law's, and then we went and saw the Christmas lights. So that was a tradition we usually did with my mother-in-law. She loved Christmas lights. Very much into Christmas. Candy cane circle is it's literally a circle. You get in and out in 2 different ways. There's a circle of houses, and then there's an island of houses in the middle, and they all agree, like, to live there you have to agree that you're going to decorate for Christmas. Now some people put up lights and that's it. Some people put up like one inflatable in the front yard. Some people go all out and have little Christmas scenes. If you ever get a chance to go, do it. A lot of times they have people out, giving out hot chocolate, or they have little vendors selling hot chocolate. Sometimes people give out little treats to the kids. It's just so much fun. So there's one of the photos from that. Again, a little peekaboo thing. I love doing some of these. Remembered happiness, kind of pulling in some of the colors here onto that page. Journaling right on it. And some of the little dead zones. Good fun. Okay. And then the circle here gave me a spot to put the 24 here. Okay. So we watched some movies again with Jason. They played video games, which you'll see all of the time. There's us at the movie theater. We went for pizza. Here's my little triangles. Repeating elements is really fun through an album. Here is a big photo and a digital file I put on top with a little sparkly star. And usually I like to, keep the day into one spread. Some people will start the 24th on this day and finish it on this day, and then here's the next day. To me, that's disjointed, and my brain doesn't work that way. This is the 24th. Here's the 25th, okay? And then those inserts again, because this is all the 25th. And my brain works that way. However you do it, you do it. Okay. So here's the 25, the tiny attacher again, with the sticker. I love doing a photo of our stockings, things that peek out of the stocking, like Gizmo here and Tom's stocking. And then, the peekaboos here with the tiny attacher so they don't move around. Actually, this one I don't think is stapled in, but this one is. Okay. Here's us in the morning. Usually we go to Tom's other side of the family, the heart side of the family, as opposed to the fears. And so here's everybody there. So, keeping it morning, afternoon. And then here's some of the gifts that I got that year. So, little stocking stuffers. Jason got a friend of his to combine Star Wars and Beauty and the Beast. This still hangs in my living room with my Beauty and the Beast stuff. And I have a little cabinet that has Beauty and the Beast things. So here's my Mrs. Potts. She's an actual little teapot. I don't use her as a teapot. She's a collectible to me. But, yeah. Those are the gifts. After Christmas, things kind of tighten up a little bit. So this is the 26th only. Okay. You'll see this picture because I took a picture of the album because I had finally got it started working. So there's my crafting. I started working on the album. We were watching this movie. They were doing some Lego. Just kind of a conglomerate of what's happening. Carrie Fisher passed away on the 27th. And so I printed out the tribute that Mark Hamill had put online for her. And I composed this in Photoshop. Deliberately left room for the 27th and saying goodbye, which is a stamp. Because I thought it was a very beautiful tribute from Luke to Leia. So it was very shocking when we lost her. And that was it. That was the day. I had no words that day. I couldn't put together what my brain was thinking, because growing up loving Star Wars, Princess Leia was a princess, but she's so different than other Disney princesses. And Princess Leia is now a Disney princess because Disney has Star Wars. But she was so different. She was feisty and she could look after herself, and she wasn't just laying around waiting for a man to come save her. She took charge. She figured things out. She saved them. She put them in line. And that always just spoke to my independent nature. My goal in life was not my mother's goal of getting married and having babies and being a housewife and sitting at home. It just never was. And, I think that's where sometimes that mother-daughter relationship was strained. My whole goal in life was to be able to look after myself and to be independent and being able to handle things on my own and not needing to rely on anybody else. Okay. And that's part of, maybe my, growing up, and I had a martyr mom at home, and she was a housewife, and, she stopped working as soon as she got engaged because that's all she wanted to do was sit at home. And that was her life goal, and she got it, and yay for her. But that wasn't mine. And so I think Princess Leia really stood out to me. And so the backside is, my take on that and my feelings that I posted, on the 28th. I didn't have the words on the 27th, but I did on the 28th. And so this was my post, and, these are some of the reactions and what people said about what I said. And it really meant a lot to me of what they said, so I made sure to include them here. And again, composed it in Photoshop. It's quite a bit smaller because I had to fit more on this card. And then, and then I was saying goodbye to my brother. He was heading back home. So today was hard, and that was a stamp. That we had lost George Michael that year as well. And, you know, Carrie Fisher passed away. You know, Debbie Reynolds passed away right after Carrie Fisher did. It was a lot. Um, you know, so many losses through the year. And then, you know, dealing with, um, you know, the grief of mom would have been 60 that year, and just, you know, a lot of stuff, you know, and then having to say farewell. My brother was going back home. It was just a lot all at once, and I was really feeling all the feels, and so that day was hard. So that's what I wrote about. Life is life, right? And then, so just kind of, I kept, this was the 28th, the date is on there, but I kept it all together because it was all part and parcel. So again, they don't have to be daily. It's that whole story that started on the 27th, and, you know, pulling everything together. So the 28th, I do this sometimes too, where I have a photo and then a 3x4 card. Here, again, I use that washi tape, cut them a bit smaller, and put them together. And here's work on the 28th. And it's just a work moment. And then I totally forgot about this purse till right now. A friend at work had gotten one of her friends who does sewing to sew me this purse. And so that was the story. And I made the photo black and white because it was a weird color, and I wanted to kind of match with the darker tones there. 29th. So here, you'll remember earlier I had the hole in my leg from the spider bite. Here was all the stuff on my nightstand of the daily cleaning. So Tom has been my nurse through multiple issues where, you know, the wound had to be cleaned out and packed, and it had to heal from the inside out. So we had to keep it open. It was just this whole ordeal. If you want to hear about it and you want to see the disgusting pictures, things like that don't gross me out. They fascinate me. And so I have pictures if you're ever interested. But I just took a quick snapshot of this. And then I had made some cookies. So our neighbor, which I totally forgot about Anthony until right now because of the journaling. See, this is why we do this. He loved cookies, and he would be walking by our window and at the kitchen because we lived right on the main walkway, and he'd be like, "Oh man, your cookies smell so good." So I would give him cookies periodically, and he asked me to make cookies. He wanted to buy cookies for a family event that he was having, so I was making cookies that day. And then I made extra for work and stuff like that. So it's all in the journaling. Okay. Again, you know, sometimes there's a lot to say, and sometimes not so much. Like a little label and you're good, right? The 30th, we went to Costco. Okay, getting ready for New Year's Eve, and I found an awesome set of Sherlock. Very excited about the Sherlock TV show. It actually had little busts and stuff. I still have them in my glass case in my room here. I like taking pictures of the shopping cart. Sometimes I like keeping the receipt because, you know, prices change over time, but it's kind of like, hey, this is a snapshot of my life today. And I made some quiche, which looks really dark to me, but it was nice, crusty cheese on the top there. Here's New Year's Eve. We went over to see our friends. We watched Moana, so there's a little sticker or a marketing piece that I cut out. Again, it's a non-Christmas card. Put the little journaling strips on top, made it my own. Used the repeating star. And saw our friends and their kids. So we went and saw them first. And then, because the kids go to bed early. And then here is the party at our friends. So we had our friends' Christmas. Friends' family Christmas. Later that afternoon. Because we couldn't get together earlier in December. So all the stories here, a few little tags, lots of little pictures, the date. Again, a little minimalist. I probably would have done a little bit more here, put that on a tag, whatever. At the time, that felt good. And then they had the party. So the colors were terrible. I couldn't get the photo to color correct properly with the tungsten lighting. This dude's back was to me, whatever. They were doing the New Year's shot right at New Year's. So I made it black and white. There's a Happy New Year card from Ellie's studio. And then, 2016 with the leg and everything, it was a rough year. And so this was a little meme I saw online and I grabbed it and I put it on here. This year I'm going to stay up until midnight on New Year's Eve because I want to watch 2016 die. So, yeah, it is what it is. There's all my journaling. This is a piece of Christmas paper that I loved. I used it as my divider because this was the dude that we got at Disneyland earlier in the year. Put a Christmas or my Santa hat that my coworker was wearing. I put it on there. It fits. And then here's my Ellie Studio acrylic 2017. I always do a divider page. I like December to end on this page so that I have a divider into January. So that's my January, and I use little stickers because of Ukraine Christmas. So here's the first. January tends to be a little more condensed. Here's us with some Funkos we got. The second we went out for lunch with Tom's friend. So that's the story there. Kept it simple. Scraps of paper. I love doing snapshots of movies, and I think I do it every single year in different ways. Here, I piled all my movies, took a picture, left some space to put the 3 and the celebrate, and then just wrote out the movies that I watched that year. Here's kind of all of my Beauty and the Beast stuff at the time. Filler, right? Here's the 4th. It was a little saying that I printed out and then paired it with a black and white card, did some journaling on there. Here's some more cookies. And here I did some numbers. So I put the number in the middle of the cheesecake here. But I wrote Christmas baking numbers. And again, I probably would do this differently now with some tags or something. But that year I made 2 cheesecakes, 120 cupcakes, 4 pans of fudge, and 864 cookies. That was a lot of baking. So that was a turtle cheesecake. And again, I composed that picture knowing I would put the number there and I was going to write on those cookies. Probably would do little stamped tags now, but again, you live and you learn and you change. Here's the 6th. This sign cracked me up, which is hard to read, but I did my journaling there. And then there's Kevin. We bought this big Ninja Turtle before, but we took it and he actually signed it and drew a little Ninja Turtle. And then I had a Ninja Turtle on my desk, so this is another picture of the one that I had on my desk. It kind of worked. This is a marketing cardboard piece. I use all these things. Like, just use them, right? Ukrainian Christmas. Okay, that was Ukrainian Christmas Eve. So it was different. So this was the journaling here. I was like, why is this here? Okay. So usually I would have people over on the 6th, Christmas Eve, because Ukrainian Christmas Eve is when you have the big meal and everything. But we wanted to go to the IDW event that night because Kevin was doing the signing and we wanted to go and support them there. So we didn't do Christmas Eve that day. We did it on Christmas Day. Okay. So this is Ukrainian Christmas. Random photos here. That people took of us, and then a collage. So you can do this in Photoshop. you know, Ellie Edwards has some great 6x8 templates where you can kind of dump in the photos. You can find collages online that you can drag and drop and size and stuff. So I just did a collage as opposed to doing different pictures because I had different like widths and sizes and stuff. So I did a collage and then I added a little sticker here and then I put an acrylic word from Ellie's studio. Because again, I knew we were going to do the shot to ring in the new year, or not to bring in the new year, the Christmas shot. And so I spaced this down a little bit, so that I would have room to put that there. Okay. So again, intentionally thinking of what products you're going to use. And then, this is a picture of me and you can kind of see it there. I did the saturation low. I brightened it up. You know, did the transparency different so that it isn't about the photo. You can see me, and especially I spaced it so that, excuse me, you can see my eyes. Eyes the window to the soul, and here I'm talking about it. Okay, so 2016 was apparently a rough year. And, you know, with the surgery and my leg and stuff in December, it was a rough December. I made it. It may have ended with me dragging my poor body and soul across the finish line, but I made it. So, you know, talking about 2016 and the holiday season, going into 2017, my word was connect, you know, wanting to connect with people, connect with different things. You know, 2016 may have been rough, but I survived. So far, things are going well. Hello, 2017. I'm ready for you. Okay, so ending on a piece of hope, which I always like to do every year. You know, it's a new year. You know, tabula rasa. It's a fresh new start, fresh new year, fresh new opportunity. And so